Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Final night of a rocky Republican National Convention. It will be capped off by, of course, Donald Trump's acceptance speech. His daughter Ivanka will introduce him. Of course, everyone wondering what tone Trump will take. But first, let's go now to Marcy Gonzalez live in Cleveland with the latest.
Hi there. Well, in just a few hours, these seats will be filled and Ivanka Trump will be on the stage to introduce her father. After some bumps along the way this week, they are hoping to end the convention with a powerful kickoff to the general election.
Tell you what, I think this is so perfect.
Donald Trump rehearsed and ready for his big night, preparing to accept the GOP presidential nomination and give the most anticipated speech of the convention.
I'm talking about trade. I'm talking about law and order. I'm going to be talking about borders. I'll be talking about many different things.
And today, so many are still talking about Trump's former rival, Ted Cruz.
Stand and speak and vote your conscience.
Ending last night's speech without endorsing Trump, met by an uproar of booing from the convention floor. Despite his earlier pledge to support the party's nominee, Cruz unapologetic this morning, telling the Texas delegation there's lingering resentment from the campaign trail.
I'll tell you the day that pledge was abrogated, was the day this became personal. I am not in the habit of supporting people who attack my wife and attack my father.
Trump's campaign manager claiming today the ongoing outrage caused by Cruz.
You said that about your wife or your dad. I hope you do the same thing. I hope you have some character and stand up for your family.
Divide the party?
Is actually helping to unify the party. Still a major goal on this final night of the Republican National Convention.
This is Donald Trump's chance to take back his convention. He's gotten badly off message in the first 3 nights. And with a powerful speech, he can change the narrative. He needs a strong finish after a pretty shaky start.
They're also hoping for a peaceful finish outside. Yesterday, nearly 24 people were arrested and more protests are planned for tonight. Live in Cleveland, Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News. Now back to you.
Thank you very much, Marcy. And our Andrew Whitman has been in Cleveland all week. He'll be joining us live there from a few minutes. He also caught up with Newt Gingrich and Peter King to ask them about the Cruz controversy.
I thought that it was stunningly bad taste on his part. You don't get invited into somebody's house, you can pour acid on their rose. If he couldn't be pleasant and positive, he shouldn't have come.
To show up at the invitation of Donald Trump, speak at Donald Trump's convention, take up almost a half-hour of prime television time, and not endorse him is absolutely disgraceful. He's a fraud, he's a liar, and he should never ever be considered for office in the Republican Party, certainly not president.
Tell us how you really feel, Congressman King. Now, Andrew also asked Peter King whether or not Trump was the one at fault.
Isn't some of that on Donald Trump for not vetting his speech and not knowing what he was going to say?
No, if there's any problem with Donald Trump is that he trusted Ted Cruz. The fact that he gave Ted Cruz the opportunity to show some decency and he didn't do it. But to me, it shows that Donald Trump is a much bigger man than Ted Cruz.
Well, we got a terrific panel here tonight, both people who have served not only in Congress and at other legislative levels, but has also run campaigns and covered them as well. Steve Rothman, he joins us, former New Jersey Democratic Congressman, Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, Richard Brodsky, former Democratic New York State Assemblyman, now full-fledged member of the media, and Chris Shays, former Republican Congressman from Connecticut, as well as conservative strategist Bill O'Reilly, as we say, the good one. First of all, to get
Bill O'Reilly? I'm on with Bill O'Reilly?
As we say, the good one. Yes. So first off, before we start, you never wear a tie as much as we like. What's the occasion tonight?
I had to wear this because it's a Donald Trump tie.
Where's it made?
And it was made in China.
Yeah, nice. All right. All right. Well, first of all, I've heard 20 different versions, some conspiracy theories, and everything rolled up into one. So let's go around quickly. What went down yesterday? Forget about the whole convention, but just went down yesterday with Cruz. Where do you put the onus? Do you put it on Cruz hijacking it, as some say, putting himself before party? Or do you put it more on Trump to give him a primetime speaking location, let alone not vetting what he was going to say, or letting him go ahead anyway?
I would say Mr. Cruz probably should have stayed home if he was not going to endorse his party's nominee, Donald Trump. But, you know, this will all blow over in a few weeks. We've got 2.5 months before the general election, and the voting public will be thinking about other things.
Dominic, whether they are or not, every night of this convention, the following day and the following headlines has been about something other than what they scripted it. So as it goes down last night, either this was just masterpiece theater by Trump to plot the whole thing out from the plane that did the flyby, did the flyover, to standing out in the shadows.
He planned the whole thing.
Well, listen, I've never given credit for anything, except he did have Manafort with the New York delegation waiting to boo as soon as he said vote your conscience, and then the audience picked up. Was this at all, do you give him any credit that he planned this out, or this just turned out that Cruz was the heel out of this last night?
If you guys believe that, would you like to buy a bridge that I'm selling tonight? Donald Trump had nothing to do with this. This is classic Donald Trump. You take a negative and flip it as best as you can into a positive. This was a disaster. The buck stops with Trump. Why, what, a leopard doesn't change its stripes? Is that?
Spots, but anyway, keep going.
Spots, whatever. You got the point I'm trying to make.
Big cat.
Okay, Boehner called Ted Cruz Lucifer. Is that correct? So why would you trust this man? Not only did he pull the scab off of the wound that shows it's not healed yet, that shows the party is not healed, right? Not only did Ted Cruz do that, but he intentionally, remember what we talked about the other night about timing during the 10 to 11? He intentionally went over about 5 to 10 minutes because he knew that would push the vice presidential nominee out of the primetime hour, and that's you only got part of the speech.
I think you're getting carried away.
No, I think I got it dead on, Congressman. I think I got it dead on.
Well, let me make it tougher for you. Let's say in the course of a campaign, your opponent insulted your wife with an unflattering photo, and also more than implied, but basically said your father was involved in the assassination of JFK.
In heck I would ever endorse him, whether I said I would or not. But I would like to make the point, he had a right to be at that convention. He had a lot of delegates there. He had a right to make a statement. And frankly, it was a gracious statement. He congratulated Trump and just didn't endorse him.
If it got any more gracious, Trump would be dead.
He didn't criticize Trump once.
All he said was vote your conscience.
Well, right, and so vote your conscience.
That wasn't just a guy killing Trump. That was a guy committing political suicide. No one minds a plot. Everyone hates the assassin. Brutus never became emperor, and Rockefeller never became president. You cannot become the public face of the anti-Trump antipathy and then in 4 years expect to go back to those voters.
Bill, wait one second, though. Because, Bill, you've had to wrangle over your time a ton of egos trying to get party players that with multiple agendas simultaneously. Is there a rule of thumb that when it comes to a convention of any kind, it's party first? I know it's always people and agendas, I get that. But without being naive, John Kasich, his good friend, at least said, I'm not showing up. I'm not going to this. Forget I'm not endorsing. I'm not going to go there. He took heat for it, but he stood at least by it. Cruz took the invite, whether you believe him or not, said, I'm not going to endorse you, but he's invited anyway. Why he was put in the 9 o'clock hour is beyond me. But that being said, Cruz today double and triple down. He poured gas on the fire. I know he's got the right to do it, but for a party who's trying to win in November, should he have put party first at all?
Well, I mean, typically it's party first, but this year it's all bets are off because Trump is such an unusual candidate. One of two things happened here. I mean, I read that 48 hours before the convention that Cruz's speech would say this, this, and this. It would be complimentary, but it would not endorse. Right. And the Trump campaign had that. That was printed in advance. That was done. So either the Trump campaign didn't do its homework and read the speech, or Donald Trump let it go because he loves publicity, good or bad, and just loves sensationalism. And he loves to take that and then try and twist it. And controversy.
How about they don't know what they're doing?
Well, that's part of that's option A. That they just didn't know what the effect of that would be. It was printed the day before.
I'm with you.
Can I point out one historical fact? I believe it's a historical fact. First of all, the election is 3.5 months from today, not 2.5. My understanding is that Ronald Reagan did not endorse Gerald Ford at the 1976 convention.
And got to address the convention.
And addressed the convention without endorsing Gerald Ford, and then obviously went on to be president in 1980.
That caused a bit of a storm at the time, too.
Yes, but so there is historical precedent. I'm no fan of Ted Cruz's, believe me.
Every night from the Melania speech debacle with the charges of plagiarism to all the missteps obviously punctuated by last night, I, for the first time, thought at the end of last night that there was a bit of enthusiasm and a bit of rallying around the flag here. Maybe it was because of Cruz or whatever else, and I know there's still a ton of party division. I just have to talk to the two Republicans at the table who will confirm that. But nonetheless, whether he stepped in it by accident or not, it seems that Trump's going into the final night here with at least a little bit of the party behind him.
Confusing hysteria and enthusiasm.
And sympathy. Some people feel sympathetic to him. Give me a break. No, I think you guys are underestimating Trump. I think they knew what was going to happen. I think they had their people on the floor to yell, you know, boo, boo, boo.
And you think that's a good strategy for Canada, the president of the United States?
Trump came out and said that his wife's speech, the plagiarism speech, that she got so much more attention because there was plagiarism in it. So that's probably a good thing.
And you both think that these were smart and
no,
not even a little.
Nobody has argued that the Melania Trump thing was a. But no, I've spoken to Chris about this.
Wait a second. He's invited Trump. Once he's invited Trump, Trump invited Cruz. Once he invited him, he had to have him come. And frankly, you're a bigger man if you let your opponent come to the convention. What was
and then you show up in the back and rouse the crowd?
And so what he's supposed to do is say, oh no, Cruz, you can't come and speak, and then people would be sympathetic to Cruz.
Puts him on at 5:30 on a Tuesday. There are you can hit someone with a club,
he loves the drama.
or you can nick an artery.
I think you could do that.
He loves
I think
the drama.
that's a good
Loves the
Richard,
drama.
a point that I made with you last night, and I noticed is what happened here. The moment that Ted Cruz went on his tirade, or whatever you want to call it, what would you call it?
It wasn't. It was a speech.
Okay, I call it a silent tirade.
He just gave it a straight speech, and he said,
straight
"Vote your
speech,
conscience,"
that's
and that was it. The tirade came from the audience.
Okay,
the tirade came from the audience.
You're the only one writing this whole
The moment that he did that, it did not matter what the Vice President, Governor Pence said. Every political reporter, the lead story, as you saw by the page 1 of every newspaper, the lead story at that moment before the Vice President,
disunity,
civil war.
Yep.
And so we can play these games that Trump knew. Of course he didn't know. Trump is trying to put the best spin on a bad situation.
Listen, I've maintained from the very beginning that anytime anyone ascribes any strategy or whatever to Trump, I'm going to drug test that person. I think it's been by the seat of its pants. It's worked for him. But for the first time last night, when I saw Paul Manafort standing there in the New York delegation, and on cue, as soon as he said, vote your conscience, he's whooping them all up to say boo.
Okay, but
there was a thought that was going on there last night.
How many times did Christie, in the key moment of his speech 4 years ago, ever talk about our presidential
it took him 28
candidate?
minutes before he even mentioned Romney's name.
No, I mean, with all due respect.
Oh, God, now he's stealing your line with all due respect.
Yeah. That means no respect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but it's just amazing to me that Christie could criticize anybody.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into a lot tonight here. So just from a programming standpoint, we are going to be taking you throughout the convention and to obviously the culmination with Donald Trump's acceptance speech here throughout this evening. Now, it is the night here that will be most remembered this evening. Trump officially accepting that nomination. He will maybe take a couple different roads. Will he take the low road and go right after Ted Cruz? Will he take the high road and stick to script here? God forbid a prompter. With the Donald, none of us have any idea.